Hi, YouTube. Thank you so much for coming to my Amway live stream. I'm really excited to be here and to talk about a new, well, not a new to me Amway distributor today. I hope everyone's having a good weekend, that you did something fun. We did an errand in the morning, and then before my stream, we cleaned our house because we're grown-ups and we do chores. So, yeah, we cleaned our house. And then after this, I'm going to exercise, work out, and then we'll figure out what we're doing after that. So, what have you done today? Have you done anything fun today? Are you ready for the week ahead? I am not. I don't want to go back to work, but I have to, obviously, because I'm a grown up and I have responsibilities. Hi, Charlie. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Hey, Liv Panic, thanks for coming. Ooh, friends are here. 3 friends already. Hi, Gary. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. It's so fun that I have 3 people here already. How cool. Okay, so this is a longer video, so no pressure, no worries if you want to skip out early. I understand. So this is from a friend of the channel, Band Live Export, posted this recording of Paul Rakovalis, an MLM distributor in Australia, and thought it'd be cool for me to react to it. And I wanted to show the video because they have scenes, different MLM, anti-MLM facts, and scenes from a fantastic documentary on YouTube about the Amway tool scam from a guy named Sean Munger. If you're interested in that, in learning more about it, I'm just gonna go into YouTube and make sure I spell his name right. I should have done this before, but it's like a brilliant, fantastic description and analysis of the origins of the Amway tool scam. Yeah, okay, I got it right. So if you're interested in it, Sean Munger, and it's just the tools called History of the Amway Motivational Tape Scam. And so yeah, and so you can go and watch that, and there's scenes from his documentary throughout that. And you'll see there's a scene of January 6th when the Capitol was taken over in the United States. And I don't remember exactly the connection, but I remember there is high up Amway distributors were involved, or distributors figures were involved in that takeover at that point. And so it's pretty interesting. So if you want to watch the video on their channel, Band Live Export, you can see it there. And yeah, and I wanted to show the video so I could put on the closed captioning. Okay. Yeah, am I good? Yeah, so Sean Munger for Amway Tool Scam content. If you want to learn about the whole ass history, go to Sean Munger on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to try my best not to talk too much because it's a long video, but I hope you enjoy it. Oh, the audio sucks, so let me know if it's too loud, too quiet, whatever.
Now, who are the first timers in the room again? Can you put your hand up? Oh, quite a few of you. Give them another round of applause. So just keep in mind what happens. Lisa didn't mention this bit, but first timers around about, I think it's about 4 o'clock, we do karaoke, and you come up and you sing a song. So you got about an hour to work out what song you're going to sing and all that. And I'm serious. And if you need a scotch, we've got it out the back, and et cetera, et cetera. That's how crazy this business is, right? Very quickly, you don't have to be crazy to build this thing, but it helps. Congratulations for all of you being here on a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, because there's so many other things you could do on a gorgeous day like today. So well done for being here. Now, some of you might...
Isn't it weird how we hear people say congratulations for coming to this meeting, even though you're taking time away, in Amway's case, from showing the plan 5 to 6 nights a week? You're not talking to prospects. You're not prospecting with your kids out and about. You're not prospecting at the grocery store, at a restaurant with your spouse. You're at this event. We heard Ray Higdon say congratulations for getting to the end of the video I think that was our recent Ray video, and I'm thinking why are you congratulating us to getting to the end? They always congratulate you on things that have nothing to do with financial gain in network marketing, and it's really weird to me.
Be here under sufferance. I apologise that you're going to have to listen to us for the next couple of hours, and hopefully we don't send you to sleep. But And the purpose for today, for those of you that are new, and for those of you that have been around a while, and for those of you that have been around a long, long while, hopefully we can inspire. I can't motivate because motivate comes from within, but hopefully we can get you thinking about cheapers. It might be worthwhile thinking about building a diamond business, because all I can share with you is it is worth it. Who's after more?
It's worthwhile for your upline for you to build a diamond business, but it's not worthwhile for the individual themselves, because we know you're not going to make money in an MLM unless you're at the top of the pyramid, unless you're at the top rank. I still have no idea what all the ranks are in Amway, but there's like diamond, and then there's like several levels of diamond above. And so if I were to guess, I don't think diamonds in Amway would actually make a lot of money.
Money. Everybody put your hand up. Who's after more time? Right? Because this business can genuinely and seriously give you both, whether you're 18 or whether you're 80. Right? Like, I'm going to waffle on for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to let you loose with Karen, and she will help you get your thinking right. Who in this room hasn't got a clue on what you're actually in yet? Seriously, if you're not too sure what the business is, be honest. Now, and I'm sure somebody probably, yeah, that'd be right. Well, there's a lot of us IBOs that are still getting our head around this thing. This is how simple this industry is. It'll take me a minute and a half to explain to you a way of setting up lifestyle. Because
why do so many people in Amway not know what they're doing? Like, you're like, oh, a lot of IBOs, independent business owners in Amway, are still getting their head around it. Why are we told that it's okay for us to join an MLM company if we don't know anything about the company or what we'll be doing? Let's compare that to an average employment environment where you are told, like, this is your job. And even during the interview process, you're often given like a job description or just like information about the role you would be doing in order to prepare for the interview. And then on your first week, you're going to learn exactly what you'll be doing and what your expectations are. But you're told in MLM to just jump in before you even know what's going on. And then they make a joke about it like, oh, a lot of IBOs don't know. Why, Paul? Why don't IBOs know what they're doing? It's because they're told to jump in head first without thinking about it. Now it's 2 minutes and 9 seconds and into the video, and I've paused it like 600 times, so I'll try not to pause it so much.
Lifestyle means you are not worried about money, and lifestyle means you have got total control of that watch on your wrist or the clock that's at home.
I love this. Like, I love that BandLab Export has provided us with some stuff to look at. Top one, I don't know what source this is, but top 1% at Amway lose nearly $1,000 per year, top 1%. And then while the study is a bit dated, the result is shocking. In 1980, okay, so 1980, the top 1% of distributors in Amway brought in a gross profit of $12,500. However, after taking out expenses, these 200 distributors lost an average of $900 per year. So we actually saw that stat or learned about that stat in one of our like throwback Amway videos. And 95% quit within 10 years. Look how long my promise lasted for me to not pause so much. Probably because if we knew what we were doing, we would pass on the opportunity. I completely agree with you, Charlie. That's a good point. That's a great point. Let me move this. Should I move this? I wanted you to be able to see it because it's not good audio, but whatever. Okay.
All right, now, and that is not relative to how old you are. Right, through this industry, we've met guys in their early 20s that have got the freedom that people in their 60s would crave for. It's not a matter of age. Very quickly, I was a fishologist, an aquacultural surgeon, not fish and chips, Lisa. I was an aquacultural. I learned how to use a knife, and I was doing operations on dead fishies all day, every day, taking their guts out. It stunk, but it paid well, right? Well, Karen was a school teacher, and she said the kids' socks stunk as well. True? Remember that? Well, both in schools, kids and fish. And they both smell. I had a pretty substantial traditional business for about 25 years, millions and millions and millions of dollars of turnover, hundreds of thousands of dollars of stock.
See, that's his channel. That's Sean Munger's channel. And this is like the video that you can go to. And then there's also the anti-bot there. And then there's like the extra content for Sean Munger's tool scam documentary. He still hasn't said what this business actually is. We're waiting. Yep. Good point, Gary. Good point.
Inventory and all that sort of stuff, made good dough. I had to keep Karen in the manner that she was wanted to be kept in. Tennis court, swimming pool, kids in private school, all that sort of jazz. We never saw each other, but we had the material things. That was real sexy. And then all of a sudden this business came along, and I'll both talk about that a bit later. I was very apprehensive. Karen hated it. But the thing was, what this business did in 36 months, part-time. The first 12 months probably we didn't really give it a crack. What it did for what I could not achieve in 25 years of my life, I achieved in 3 years part-time. No staff, no stock, no handling money, no taking orders if we didn't want to, and working it when I wanted to.
So you say that people in their 20s have the freedom of guys in their 60s would die for. And you said after 36 months, you made more than what you did in like 10 years as a fish surgeon. But he just said he was like gutting the fish. So I don't really know what that means. But I wonder, like, what is his definition of freedom? So after 36 months, was he still showing the plan 5 to 6 nights a week, and was prospecting still taking over his entire life? Or after that 36 months, did he get to the point where it's actual true residual income, where he didn't really have to do anything and his hundreds or thousands of people below him were making all of the money? Like, their definition of freedom it's not really clear, because I think he's going to mention he quit his job after 36 months, and then like sooner his wife quit her job. But what happened when you quit your job? Was your new full-time job just Amway, or did you actually have true time freedom? I don't believe that you did, sir. So my question is, when is the actual time freedom? When do we get to the point where we don't need to show the plan 5 to 6 nights a week? I'd love to hear that answer, Paul. He's a sturgeon. I don't understand the sturgeon. Was that a mistake, or is that like a joke, the sturgeon part? If it's a joke, like, it's weird that he called himself an aquacultural surgeon. That's weird. Like, if you're just gutting the fish, you're not a surgeon. I feel like you would have to be like a veterinarian to be like an actual fish surgeon. A fish surgeon, yes. Isn't that weird? That's weird. Okay, let's continue.
That's what you got your hands on, everybody. And real simple, this is the business. This is a business model for an $11, $12 billion industry, right? Regardless of public perception, we use the Amway company as a logistics company.
What does that mean? Regardless of public perception, we use the Amway company as a logistics company? So even though everyone thinks Amway is a freaking scam, we still use them as a logistics. You're not using Amway as a logistics company. You are a contracted employee of Amway. And note, this speech is from 2012, because his wife will say later, like, oh, who wants to be at the Olympics in 4 years in Rio? And I'm pretty sure the Rio Olympics was 2016. So this is 2012-ish. So it's kind of like our retro videos, but not as old as some of them. Okay. He called himself a fishologist. I guess someone in the periphery of aquaculture. Interesting. Kind of random though, right?
We're in their building. Something must be happening. They got one of these here. They got one of them in Melbourne. They got one up there in Sydney, New Zealand, all around the world. In Australia, there's around about 300 companies that outsource through Amway because they are good at what they do. Here's the opportunity. You. Good old little old you. Doesn't matter what your background is. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter how sharp you are. Thank goodness, otherwise I wouldn't be standing here. I am the perfect example of what a system can do and getting around the right people can do. I did not know any of my support team. Lee McCulloch, Tony Armstrong, didn't know any of them. but they got me out of the rat race in 36 months and they got Karen out of the rat race in 9 months.
So you say that you don't need to have any skills, you don't need to be that sharp, and then you can find success in Amway. Look at me. I'm not even that sharp. I'm kind of dumb. He didn't say this, but like I'm not smart. And I was able to quit after like 3 years. It took him, I don't know, 3 years to work, right? Okay. Sorry, I see Gary here. He was a contracted employee. You're right. Would he not be an independent contractor? You're right. I misspoke. Thank you. Thank you. They are independent contractors, not contracted employees. What was my point? What was my point? So, look, I'm not even that smart. I'm not sharp. And I was able to quit my job in 3 years. And I'm the perfect example of your average person coming in off the street and then finding amazing, brilliant success in Amway. It's just a way to make the opportunity seem more attainable for your average person. And there's no understanding of what may put you at a greater advantage, right? Because he had a big, fulsome career before Amway, where I'm sure he had lots of different life experiences. And all of your experiences contribute to your success or otherwise in a job, right? Like I have learned like public speaking skills. I work independently. That might help me in a sales job, right? Even though I would not be a good salesperson, but I'm kind of not getting my point across. I think my point is just that every experience we have could help us or hinder us at a job. And the people at the top of these companies never acknowledge the privilege that they have and how they actually got there. They never say, look, I just recruited a bunch of people who stayed in the company for a long time. That's how I'm successful. It's always, I overcame adversity and you can do it too. Does that make sense?
Right. And if you get your head around what you got your hands on, the business is the business. The business is showing people how to buy stuff, and we get paid, not the multinational companies. The opportunity is you.
You don't show people how to buy stuff. The business is recruiting people and selling a little bit of product, sir.
You're going to get involved in a team of people that are going to help you. Ask for it. You're going to get involved in an incredible system that can teach you to become a person that you need to become to have time and money, whether you're 18 or whether you're 80 in the room. And all we're going to do is we're going to find some of these 8 million consumers, and there's probably more, but 8 million households actually in Australia and around the world, but in Australia alone, we're going to help you find some of these bunnies that are looking to make some money or looking to save some dough, and we're going to help you build a business based on wholesale and retail. That's it. We're going to find some people and we're going to put them into a buying group or a self-consumption group or a group that are going to move products from Amway into their homes, and you're going to get a percentage. That's it.
So people in Amway, they make their money when they find households that want to make money or save some dough, and then those households receive products from Amway. So are those households distributors, or are those households actual true customers who have nothing to do with the business structure, with the downline of Amway? My guess is those households, those 8 million households in Australia, our purpose is to make them into distributor households, not just customer households. And either way, we know from past Amway videos, our goal is to make sure everyone in our downline, every customer, completely changes over all their products to be Amway products.
Now, the size of the dollars you want to make will be determined on the structure of an organisation that the team's going to help you put together. Now, in traditional business, I was flogging my backside off trying to make some serious dough, but I did not understand that I was never, well, I did understand I was never going to duplicate myself. In this business, all of a sudden, you will learn through your team, the system and the team, how to duplicate yourself. That's where wealth comes from, right? So that's what we're on about. Okay, that's it. That's it. One home, spending $500 a month will give you a bit of time, convenience, and you'll probably make about 10 or 12 and some savings. 100 homes structured the right way can nearly give you 80 to 100,000 bucks a year ongoing. Structured the right way, because we all have to eat, we all have to wash, Doesn't matter what background or where we are or what the economy's doing. We are in a business that you can set up that can be ongoing for forever. I reckon that's huge. Now, me being a fishmonger, that was it. Boom.
I keep trying to let it go, but there's so much here. So Liv Panic said, why do we have to duplicate ourselves? LOL. We know in an MLM, you have to duplicate yourself. That just means everyone in your downline does exactly what you do to recruit a crap ton of people and to sell some products as well. I thought it was interesting. The income claims, even circa 2012, the income claims, you just need one family to spend $500 a month on Amway products, and you get a certain amount of money. I don't remember what it was. My apologies. And then you get 500 households spending $500 a month, and then you can get 80 to 100,000 a year. And he makes it sound so easy to just get that many households spending that much on Amway products. But anyone who has a family, who's had a family, kids, have you ever spent $500 a month, not just on groceries, because Amway does not really provide groceries, like snacks, what else? Like household items, soap, laundry soap, hand soap, whatever, like household items and like energy drinks. Like, have you ever spent $500 on those kinds of products when you had a family, when you had kids at home? My guess is probably not, because it doesn't include all of the groceries for everyone in your household. I love the income claims even back then.
Game, set, match. My son didn't want to have anything to do with it. He said when he started to grow up. So once I couldn't stand up and fillet fish and talk fish language, that was it. My business was going to stop. However, all of a sudden now our business is based on learning how to do something, teaching others how to do it, and duplicating, and it just grows and it'll go all around the world. I am fired up about that, because the secret is you will change other people's lives. Who likes that idea? Who likes the idea of being successful because you've helped somebody else be successful? So that's the business. So Kaz, you can come back up again now.
We know your downline does not need to be successful for you to. They just need to hit a certain rank. They just need to maintain a certain amount of volume, and then you will be successful. It doesn't really matter if people below you are making a lot of money, in my opinion.
What we're going to take you through this afternoon, it all gets back to how serious you are about where you want to go with your life. That's it. Right? So I'm going to hand you over to Karen. She'll share with you, I guess, what this thing's done for us. Here's Kaz.
I just want you all to remember that you're the master of your own fate and the captain of your own souls. And we're all going to go sailing or cruising, whatever you choose, however you choose to do it. Follow your dreams and set your goals. In this business, yes, you will be challenged. There is work to do. No use sitting in a safe harbour, because the view's better from out at sea. Things will be stormy. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Move through it. What we've learned.
I kept waiting for these useless metaphors to be done so I could laugh about it and giggle. And then she just kept going. Like, none of that made any sense. None of that made any sense. Oh, you're going to have a stormy harbor, but just like get on your boat and like go through it. The whole point is like our dreams are important enough to like go through adversity to achieve our freaking dreams. But none of that meant anything. Karen, what's her name? Rakovalis, none of that meant anything, ma'am. None of it did. I love these useless metaphors that don't help anyone. So his son didn't want to be a fishmonger, so now he's an Amway rep too. I don't think his son became a fishmonger. I don't think he did. I think he was saying that his son didn't want anything to do with Amway. I might be mistaken though. Follow your dreams, set your goals, fix your teeth. Yeah, Charlie. I'm trying to look in the mirror, in the camera. You're right. Fix your teeth, wear a nice suit, cut your hair professionally, stay out till 4 a.m., never see your family. Then you'll be successful. Why am I pointing? Hi, Johnny. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We're watching an Amway speech, we're listening to an Amway speech from 2012. And the channel I have it on, like the channel that has the video, they just have things kind of playing in the background from different Amway videos and documentaries across YouTube. Thank you for joining.
In this business is to think differently. We've learnt to believe. We've learnt to trust. We've learnt to prioritise time. We've actually learned to work together. And we've also had to learn to work in a team. Every one of you you are all part of an awesome team. For Raka and I, we're really, really privileged to be part of Lee and Kathy's Diamond Ship. We're also really privileged to have people like Lisa as mentors as well. And we get out there and we have lots and lots of fun. When we first started in this business, I was Miss Perfect and Raka was Mr. Grumpy. Now we've become Little Miss Sunshine and Mr. Happy, I suppose, for those of you that might have grown up with.
I think she calls her husband Racket because their last name is Rakovalis, so it's kind of like short form, I guess, like a little nickname. But again, what are you talking about? You were Mr. Perfect. You were Mrs. Perfect, and now you're Miss Sunshine. He was Mr. Grumpy, and now you're Mr. Happy. Now he's Mr. Happy, and that's all because of the Amway business. Nothing to do with just like growing up, changing like adults do. Like adults change. It's not that exciting, and just like having new life experiences. No, your husband went from grumpy to happy only because of Amway.
With the Mr. Men books. But what I needed to do was learn to check my attitude and to prioritise time, because I was a mother, a wife, brilliant provider in the kitchen for the family, not.
What is that? What is that? Was that why are they talking? Why is it Amway distributor saying that? That is weird. That is weird to me. That is weird. Hold up. Did the guy on the screen just call Jonestown a funny little cult? I did not notice. Did he? Did he? I don't know. I didn't notice. Maybe he did.
And I was teaching part-time. And those of you that come from an education background might realise that for those of that don't come from an educational background, you probably think that teachers have all these holidays and it's the best job in the world. Well, some of us probably did teaching because we might have thought that was the case, but it actually isn't, because during those school holidays you do actually have to work with correction and getting your curriculum ready for the next term and things like that. So I was really busy when we first looked at this business, and like Raka said, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And there were times when, as we were building the business, I really didn't understand what we were involved in. And even when I actually left teaching, 15 months after being involved in the business, I said to Raka, So
Gary just said, Jonestown and Amway both drinking the Kool-Aid. And Melissa, like a lot of people, a lot of these meetings in Amway, like they say outrageous things. I don't know if you were here earlier, but the guy whose channel this is, he just like put on anti-MLM videos in the background. And so he's just showing like different Amway videos. And I'm honestly like not surprised that someone would say something like that at an Amway event. Honestly, we've heard horrendous things being said by like Dexter Yeager and Bill Britt. It's shocking. It's bad, of course, but like it's like the reality of these Amway events. And if anyone has been to Amway events recently or not recently, like did you hear shocking things like that too? And like who said them? Do you remember who said them?
What are we doing? Has this got something to do with Amway? I'd been using the product for 15 months, but I still...
Sorry. Melissa's saying interesting things. I heard some outrageous stuff during my family's Amway phase, but nothing like that. Yeah. And Was your family in Amway? If you have any insight into what these people are saying, it'd be cool if you could like let us know your thoughts if you feel comfortable.
Still didn't realize what I was actually in. So for you new people, if you're trying to work out what this business is, just hang on to your mentors and your coaches, and they'll guide you through.
So we heard that she didn't really know what was going on. She was really apprehensive while she was teaching. She didn't even know she was in Amway. And when she quit teaching, she finally realized what Amway was, and she was already all in because she was able to quit her job. And so if Karen and Paul were able to have so much success when they didn't really know what was happening, then you can also have a lot of success too. If you just persevere and have a big dream, you can be just like Karen and Paul.
You don't need to know everything and anything. Sometimes you get into this business and you expect that you should know what you need to do. Ask lots of questions, but don't question what's suggested to you, because the people that are leading you through, your team, they've been through it, and they can actually help you shortcut through your journey because they've made all the mistakes before you. And you'll still make your own mistakes, but anyway. But this business has been an amazing journey for us. It's not.
So we're allowed to ask questions, but do not question what's suggested to you. We're our own business owner, but we just have to do what we're told. We also have to check in with our uplines all the time before we make any decision. We have to counsel with our uplines, and we have to game plan with our uplines to determine which one of our legs is worth our time and our effort. My parents joined Amway in 1997 and made it all the way to Emerald rank before they kind of petered out in the mid and late 2000s. Okay, I'm really glad they petered out. I'm really happy to hear that. And yeah, they joined in 1997. So they were still in for a while, but I'm glad they got out. I have to step away for a while, but I'll catch what I miss on replay. No worries, Lift Panic. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Necessarily the big things. It's not the houses and the cars and all those sort of things that you appreciate when you build the business. It's the sleeping in. It's not having to get up to an alarm clock. It's not having to get up and be the first one to turn on the lights in the kitchen and put the kettle on and get the breakfasts ready for the kids. It's actually.
So when you're in Amway, do you not have to get your kids ready for work, ready for school? Like, what? So even if you're not working in Amway and say you actually don't need to wake up early, how are your kids getting ready for school, Karen? Are they just, even if your kids are like 8 years old, are they just like magically getting themselves ready perfectly by themselves without any supervision and then just like walking across town to school? And there's nothing wrong with having to set an alarm. Even if you don't have to work, people get up early. Even if they're retired, they may get up to walk their dog, to read a book, to exercise. Like they make it seem like an alarm clock is the devil, and it's not. It's fine. It's fine. They're not like fully out. They still order product every month and collect a check from whatever of their downline is still active, but they still think Amway is a good thing. So yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Amway really kind of takes over your whole life. Melissa, I don't know if you've watched my other Amway videos where we learn about how people prospect and recruit and how like they're told to, at least in like the 2000s and the late 90s, they're told to like change everything about themselves and like change how they present themselves and how they dress and how they interact with people in order to get people into the Amway business. So yeah, I think it's really hard to completely separate yourself from that kind of thing.
Enjoying the journey. It's enjoying the snow-capped mountains that you fly over. It's the coffee and the cake. It's actually having a girls' pajama party or a mixed pajama party. But it's learning to laugh again. When Raka and I, we'd been married 15 years before we got involved in the business. And over those first 15 years, we'd forgotten how to laugh because we were too busy trying to make a living and make things work. We were too busy trying to impress people. And what we learned within 12 months of being in the business, that we learned who our friends were. In this business, we have had it said to us that from people who haven't wanted to get into the business, oh, no, you use people. Who's heard of that excuse? Well, Raka was self-employed and he had fresh crayfish and fresh prawns. And when we were first married, we were so poor, we couldn't afford steak. And we would have prawn.
So I'll just let her finish that in a second. So because of Amway, they're able to enjoy the little things. The snow-capped mountains, because if you're not in Amway, there's no way you could ever fly over snow-capped mountains, right? And you're able to laugh again with your spouse because you're not just focused on making a living. You actually have time to just live and breathe, even though we know in any MLM, but especially Amway, the only tiny portion of people are actually going to be able to have true time freedom off of their downline. We know that they know that the majority of the people underneath them are not going to actually have true time freedom, where they're not showing the plan 5 to 6 nights a week. It's interesting how they make it seem like it's an all or nothing. You can either be in Amway or you're not going to have a good relationship with your spouse. You can either be in Amway or you are going to have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day and you're never going to be able to go on any vacations or enjoy your life at all. It's never like in the middle. It's why can't we just not be in Amway and spend time with our spouse when we're able to, take our kids on vacations if we're able to. It can just be to the beach down the road. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. And we just are happy and content with our life. Why is it so black and white in this industry? We know why, but interesting. Hey, from Victoria. Hey, Mark. Thank you for joining. We're talking about Paul. I can't say the name. Rakovalis. We're talking about Paul today. Yep, that sounds about right. Yeah. It's a cult training course. Yep, pretty much. And Mark, I don't know if you have seen this video or not, the one that this person is showing behind the speech, or behind, like showing while we're listening to the speech. But I'm just putting his name in here, Mark, and his name's Sean Munger, and he has like an hour and 40-minute video on the entire history of the Amway tool scam, and it's really, really cool. It's so detailed. And so if you haven't watched it already, you should go watch it.
And oysters and crayfish nearly every night of the week. So we finally found a butcher that could actually, we bartered because his wife was sick of steak. So that worked really, really well with us. But we got the excuse, oh no, you use people in that business. Well, while Raka was a fresh fish merchant, we had lots and lots of friends. Every weekend we would have people come to our place to play tennis, to swim in the pool, yep, even in Melbourne, to eat crayfish and prawns. When we sold that business, we didn't see those people anymore. In this business, we offer the same opportunity. Everybody has the same opportunity to get whatever it is out of the business.
Maybe those people weren't your friends anymore, not because you sold your business, but because they were uncomfortable with you being in Amway, and maybe they understood a little bit about how MLMs work, and they knew that they were automatically going to be a prospect and you were going to expect them to purchase from you. So maybe they're not bad friends. Maybe they're just uncomfortable. And what was the other one? Yeah, so the idea of people in MLMs using people, I don't think people do it on purpose. I don't think everyone automatically knows what they're doing. But yes, that is the basis of the industry, because in Beachbody, you do not have a business. You do not have an income if you do not have people underneath you. So it's in your best interest to make sure that the people in your downline stay in your downline, even if it's not what's best for you or for the person. for the person, not for you. You know what I mean? Maybe they were just work friends. Yeah, yeah. Maybe they were. That's a great point. Yeah, there's more to that story. I'm guessing that this lady and her husband changed a lot when they joined Amway. I saw my parents lose friends. Hmm. Yeah, and like we don't know exactly what happened, of course, but I think she's making it seem like the moment they sold their big business, then all these friends just ignored them. And I agree, Melissa. I feel like there has to be more to that. That's a great point.
We don't use people, we help people. No matter what kind of challenges lie before you, if somebody believes in you and you believe in your dreams, it can happen. Be somebody, not something. That's what we've learned, because our team have always believed in us. Sometimes our family haven't believed in us, but the team that you have in this business, they'll pull you up by the bootstraps and help you achieve the goals that you want. Some of the things that we have achieved started out as little things. What are the things that you enjoy doing? For us, for me, it was, I love coffee and cake. I've got to find a place now with low fat milk and less calories, or I have to suffer and go to the gym more often.
It's not the point of the story, but just unless your doctor is worried about your health, enjoy your coffee, enjoy your pastry, and don't worry about it. As long as you're not having like 7 pastries every day, don't worry about it. Don't go to the gym more because you had yummy pastry and coffee. That's not the point, though.
But I love coffee and cake. And when Mel, our daughter, was little, we'd go to the local cafe and we'd have coffee and cake. She'd have the froth off the cappuccino. And now you can actually go and buy a cup of froth. Back then, I used to always lose the froth off my cappuccino because I'd have to share it with her. And we enjoyed doing that. But as I was working more and she started school, the time together lessened. But once we got in this business, we could go and have coffee and cake at the Hopetoun Tea Rooms in the Block Arcade in Melbourne, which is an institution. When you all come down, make sure you go to the Hopetoun Tea Rooms because they have the best vanilla slices.
If we're not in Amway, then we can't enjoy a nice coffee date with our daughter. It's not like Karen was a part-time teacher when her daughter was in school, and it's not like she could just go pick her up from school and take her out for coffee and cake, like she said. And I feel you, Karen. I love me a fancy ass iced coffee. Like I want the fanciest iced coffee ever. I'm not really into the pastries part, but my ideal friend date is definitely like going out with a friend and sitting there drinking a big ass iced coffee for an hour or two and just hanging out. Like that's perfect. I love that. So I feel you. But you're now making it seem like you can't enjoy fun hobbies with your children, with your spouse, unless you're in Amway. And I don't understand why we just can't enjoy fun hobbies with our kids when we're not at work, when they're not at school on the weekends. Anyone who worked any kind of like job where you had set hours and could be 9 to 5, could be half days. Did you have time to spend doing fun things with your kids? Like whatever it could be, like watching movies with them, taking them to the park. You don't need to be in Amway to be able to do that. I would even argue that it's easier in a 9 to 5 to be able to do that because when you're done at work, when you're not at work, you are completely present with your kids most of the time, unless you have to take your work home. But if there's no overtime, you can just be present in the moment with your kids, and you're not going to have your upline like in your ear calling you, telling you to recruit. You're not going to have the pressure of showing the plan 5 to 6 nights a week, and you're not going to have to sit there and worry and feel guilty about how you're spending your time.
So we'd go there. Then as we built the business and learnt to set rewards, we got to go to high tea at the Windsor up the top of Collins Street and Spring Street in Melbourne. And then as we built the business and set goals and took rewards, we were able to have coffee and cake along the Champs-Élysées in Paris. They were little goals that started off, but as we built the business, the rewards grew. What is it going to be for you? What things do you want to achieve? What are the crazy things that you want to achieve? Another time I went to Raka and I said to him, Rak, 6 of us are going to go and have coffee and cake. 6 girls from the business.
Sorry, I've seen a few comments that I want to talk about, and then we'll continue. We do stuff with our kids and take trips, and we make more money, and we have more money to do that when we aren't spending oodles of money and time going to Amway conferences 4 times a year. Brilliant point, brilliant point. Yes, because it's the financial aspect of taking your kid out for like coffee and cake as well. Like that costs money, and you're more likely to have $10 extra to do that with your kid if you're not in Amway. I've seen it. What have you seen? What have you seen, Mark? Remember the video that stated to prospect with your children, quality time? Yeah, and like teaching your kids to go up to strangers and just say hello. And then you can say, oh, well, do you have kids too? And then you can use your really adorable children as a way to introduce yourself to a potential prospect. And who was it? Bert Gerlich, who was so proud of his little daughter for saying hi and being outgoing. But I wonder, are you proud of your daughter just because she's outgoing and you want her to be good in social situations? Or are you proud of her because she's helping you recruit for your Amway downline? That's a great point, Charlie. I love that.
Business that I'd got to know that was strangers that our paths would never have met unless it had been for this business. And we've become close friends. We've decided we're going to have coffee and cake. Yeah, well, fine, says Raka. Why do you want to ask me? Why do I need to be involved? Well, some of the girls lived in Perth, so he figured, okay, it might mean a trip to Perth. All right, well.
If you watch my Dexter Yeager videos, look at Dex in 1957. Like, it's so crazy to see Rich and Jay and Dex, like, when they're so young. He's so young. Look at that baby. Wow, that's crazy. I don't remember exactly when he started, but he started really early. I feel like it was like the 60s. And he was like in his 20s. He was like pretty much the same age as Rich and Jay when he started. That's crazy. It's crazy to see Dexter being so young. The lady's obsessed with coffee and cake. Did her mom not let her have coffee and cake when she was growing up? I get it. We all have our things, right? Like my thing's like hockey, right? Like I would love to just be able to like travel around and go to all the hockey games that I want. I get it, but you're right. Like there is a big focus on coffee and cake. She does love her coffee and cake. Do you guys like coffee? Like, do you like to go on coffee friend dates and like get fancy like drinks with like whipped cream and sprinkles on it? If so, what kind of drinks do you like?
What do you want when you're going? I said, I need $5,000 and we're going for a week. And he said, for coffee and cake? Yep. We're going to have Vienna coffee in Vienna. Would I have thought that that was ever going to happen before we got involved in this? No, because my thinking wasn't big enough to think outside the box.
That's also not real life. Like you are going away for a week to have your coffee and cake and you're able to without losing money. And sure, that's great. But like you can still have time freedom in Amway if you're lucky enough to, but who are taking care of your kids? Like, are you just going to like, say if you're a single parent, like your kids are just there by themselves, or if you have a spouse, it's not necessarily fair or nice to just leave your spouse for a week on such short notice just to run away and go to coffee, right? So it seems it's a little bit weird. Like, yes, you have the money to do it, but are your children being taken care of? You know, and that's not real life. Like, why do we need to run away to go to coffee for a week? And if we were in an average employment environment, we would most likely be able to take some paid time off to go on vacation with our friends if we wanted to. So it's not just black and white, like I said earlier. You're either in Amway and going on week-long friend coffee dates, or you will never see your friends because you're always going to be working. One of my brothers married a German girl, and they live in Germany, and they do coffee and cake almost every day, and they're not in Amway. Shocker. You can enjoy coffee dates and not be in Amway. That's great that they do that every day. That's awesome. Lots of people love coffee, right? Like, it's when they are just chilling, and they when they can bond more with their friends and their spouse. It's great. It's great, but it's not necessarily real life to just drop everything and go away for a week to have coffee. I'm looking, there's a big piece of my hair behind my ear that's just pissing me off, and it's just it's sticking out from behind my ear.
Rack has spoken about the Tour de France. How many of you would like, or how many of you have said, oh, it'd be really nice to be at the Olympics? How many of you would like to go to Rio de Janeiro in 4 years' time to the Olympics? Set a goal, set sail, and make it happen, because you're masters of your own fate, and you're...
Ooh, have you guys heard of Matt Novak? The Untold Story of Napoleon Hill, the greatest self-help scammer of all time. It's written by Matt Novak. Never mind. And then Napoleon Hill. Maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I will. So we can go to amazing sporting events without being in Amway. We're more likely able to do that. If we want to go to Rio in 4 years' time and we have a job where we can take some paid time off, then all we have to do is set aside some money every month, every week, however much we can set aside. We have 4 years to save, by the way, and book a refundable hotel. So in case we're not able to save all the money for the hotel and the flight and stuff, we can just cancel it. No big deal. Book a refundable hotel, plan in advance, and set aside money and go to the Olympics. Maybe you don't need to go to the whole Olympics in case it's too expensive. Go to some of the events. If you like the gymnastics, make sure you're there for the gymnastics and you can see the gold medal parts of gymnastics. It's not out of reach for a lot of people. Now, it is for some people who can't take time off because maybe they don't have much vacation time, or they can't set aside money because they don't have a lot of pay. But I'm more likely to be able to go to Rio than someone in Amway, in my opinion. What do you think about that? Tour de France, more like Tour de Doping. I like that, Melissa. That's funny. I love me some Olympics, but I also hate big crowds, so it's not likely I will ever go to the Olympics in person. Yeah, that's totally fair. That's fair. And I love the Olympics too, but the Winter Olympics. I love watching the women's hockey, some of the men's, but mostly the women's. And so I would definitely go to the Olympics and just go to all the women's games if I could. And I'd want Canada to win, of course. It is an MLM thing to assume everyone wants exotic travel to make their lives complete. That's an amazing point. We've talked about this before. Not everyone wants to go to Rio. Some people might just want a week off to hang out with their kids at home, or if you don't have kids, like a staycation. I've done that before where I have a week off work and I just bum around the house, and I make sure to do that when it's nice weather. And so then I'll walk around. Maybe I'll ride my bike. I'll ride my bike and go meet my husband at work and have some quality time with him during my time off. Or I'll read in the backyard, or I'll eat a donut on the porch and watch the traffic. Because I like doing that. Not everyone wants to travel the world. Why am I getting frustrated? Sean Munger's video I saw a while ago. Good. It's fantastic. Did you like it, Mark?
Captains of your own destiny. Have a go. Write down. I can remember people saying to us when we got involved in the business, write down 100 things that you would like to achieve. Who's seen the movie The Bucket List? Don't wait till it's too late. Just go out there and set a goal, counsel with your team, and ask what you need to do to be able to achieve the things that you wanted to achieve. I mean, one of the dreams that we as baby boomers had was to visit Disneyland. And it's probably everybody's dream to go and visit Disneyland and see Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. And
I don't want to go to Disneyland. Do you want to go to Disneyland? I don't want to. No, thank you.
Donald Duck. But standing outside the Magic Kingdom with his two children, aged 11 and 14, looking at the Magic Kingdom and going, gee, it's taken me 40 years to get here and I can't believe I'm standing here, with tears welling up in his eyes. And his 11-year-old son looking up to him and said, gee, Dad, I'm only 11. It only took me 11 years. How come it took you so long?
So before this time, Paul, you were not able to go to Disneyland? Like, what? You couldn't set aside some money? You said earlier that your fish surgeon job, whatever the fuck it was, you said that you were paid well, and your wife had a job, might not have been paid well, but there were two incomes in the household, and you couldn't go to Disneyland. Amway was really the only way you could go to Disneyland. I call bullshit. I think that's a lie. I don't think that's real, because you could have gone before, but human you has to change up the story in order to make it seem more meaningful that you're going to Disneyland. Look, because of Amway, I can go to Disneyland. If I was going to Rio, I'm not going to be like, thanks to my job, I'm going to Rio. It's like, no, just go to Rio. You don't need to thank your job for everything. Your job, in my opinion, for my life, does not have as much significance in it as these people place on Amway. Ma'am, Disneyland and Magic Kingdom are two different parks. Disneyland is in California and Magic Kingdom is in Florida. Thank you, Melissa.
What we have done for our children, who are now young adults, we have helped them understand that with hard work, they can achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. Talent will get you a certain way, but perseverance and consistency will outweigh it. And
Hey, Bill. Disneyland seems to be go-to destination for guilt-racked M1 parents. You can forget your kids at dance numerous times, but Disneyland makes up for it. True, Gary. Like what was that video, Beach Boss influencers, where they were talking about how often they forget their children, and then one of the women were like, I'm a good mom, I take my children to Disneyland. And then everyone in the comments were like, that does not make you a good mom. Stop forgetting your children and then laughing about it. If you forget your children, say sorry. Validate their feelings. It's called Disney World in Florida. Okay, gotcha. I've never been. I try to avoid the US as much as possible. Gary nailed it. Yes. He did. Disney World / Magic Kingdom. Gotcha. That's Bill. We've talked about Bill lots of times.
In this, you don't have to do it by yourself. You need to suck it up and ask for help, because your team's there to help you. If you think that you can do it by yourself, you won't succeed. You'll become frustrated, disheartened, and you'll probably quit. But know that you'll be quitting on yourself and your dreams.
So you're quitting not because you're not making any money, because you're in a scam, because you might be having a stressed relationship with your spouse and your kids. You're quitting because you tried to give it a go by yourself and you got overwhelmed and frustrated and you quit. And you're quitting on your dreams. You're quitting on yourself. You're quitting on your family. It's already been almost an hour, and we still have a good amount of time left. I'm sorry it's so long. There's just a lot to say.
I mean, some of the things that we've experienced, we would never have thought that we would experience. Christmas in Ireland, and it snowed, as you would expect. But the Irish told us before Christmas Eve that it hadn't snowed for 14 years. But we knew it was going to snow. And it did snow. Being in Times Square for New Year's Eve, when I wouldn't even allow my children to go into the city of Melbourne on New Year's Eve, but there were 8 of us traipsing around New York, to have a small dream that one day your daughter who loves dance and musical theatre, and you'd go to all the school productions, to be able to take her to Broadway and go and watch 42nd Street, to go to Paris and see Moulin Rouge, and just know that if there's a live show somewhere, you can go. It would be awesome to go and see Les Mis in London and the East End. That'll happen once we set a goal and we do some work for it. Don't wish that you had. Go out saying, I'm glad that I did.
So the only way you can help your kids really explore their passions and their interests is being in Amway. So there's no way you can support your daughter's musical theater interest unless you're in this MLM. It's not like if you have a stable paycheck, you can't set aside some money to make sure she can go into the most like prestigious theater programs if you're able to, and like get her to some plays and some shows when you're able to afford it. It's not like you can just plan in advance financially. The only way you can support your children's interests is if you're in Amway. Not true. Not true. How do we even know that this couple are telling the truth? We don't. We don't. I feel like a good amount of this might be fabricated. I'm just going off of the assumption that they're being truthful in some parts. But yeah, we don't know, because I feel like people are taught to really like exaggerate parts, make some parts of their story seem more dramatic than it actually was, and they're just trying to paint a perfect picture of their life before MLM and how their life has improved now because of Amway. Great point. Oh, stop it, Karen. Les Mis in any city is amazing. You don't need to go all the way to London for it. I've never been. I'm not really a theater person, but yeah, that's a great point. You don't need to go to fancy places to go to plays. Good point.
Because this business can actually give you whatever it is that you want, whether it's more money, more time. For Raka and I, it's actually made us work together. It's made us communicate with each other. And he's different. He's actually different to what I thought he was. As Melanie says, he's no longer grumpy. He's actually a happy man most of the time. Just go out there, have fun, get your bucket list happening, and come and join us, because it's little steps, it's progressions, it's little steps along the way that'll help you get to what you want. Come cruising with us, because it's a step to help you start growing a group that'll help you set up a group that you can work with, that you can help them achieve their goals and dreams, and it'll set you up.
So yeah, this is what I had told you about how like Amway had some kind of connection to storming of the Capitol on January 6th. And yeah, so this is still from Sean Munger's The Tool called History of the Amway Motivational Tape Scam video. Don't remember the exact context. If you remember, let us know. I remember thinking like, oh, why is that there? And then I remembered, no, like that was part of his video for sure. So she was saying, oh, you can make more money in Amway if that's your goal. It's like, okay, please define more money. More money could literally be like $5. You could profit $5, and that's technically more money. right? More time could be like you don't have to stay at work till 8 anymore, 8 p.m., and instead you're working your Amway business till 7:30. Please categorize, please define what you mean by more money and more time, because it could mean anything and the actual reality of it doesn't have to be that impressive. And only the family being in an MLM will teach our children the value of effort over mere talent. Yeah, and like why can't we just teach our children the value of effort by just like working hard and showing them how to be a good person and teaching them the value of money and the importance of giving back? Why do we need to be in Amway to do so? Oh yes, Amway loves Trump. Yes. Yes. They sure do. Betsy DeVos, no need to say more. When I was telling my husband about the DeVosses and telling them like about their family and stuff, he goes, Betsy, is Betsy related to them? I didn't know at the time. I looked it up. She married into the family. She married Doug. And I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't realize. So yeah, we know a lot. There's a big connection between Amway and American politics for sure.
For bigger goals and dreams, because everything we do in this business has a system and a pattern, and they're not big things that we're asking you to do. We're just asking you to have some belief in yourselves and belief in your team, which is a bit hard because I look at our team, we didn't know any of them. They were strangers. But remember, strangers are only friends that you haven't got to know yet. So here's Rekha.
You have to have faith in your team, even though you don't know them, even though they're strangers, but strangers are friends you just haven't gotten to know yet. She said earlier we have to create a team and set them up with the skills and knowledge for them to create their own team so that you can achieve your goals. Something along those lines. That's a great point because in MLM, you can have all the people below you. And we've actually heard this in another Amway video, but if your people aren't structured in a specific way, then you're not going to rank up. So you can't just have 100 people doing nothing. You have to have 100 people with a certain number of people at certain ranks, achieving and maintaining a certain amount of value with a certain amount of people underneath them in order to get anywhere in Amway. So it's not just helping those people be successful, it's making sure they meet and maintain very, very specific requirements.
That was special. Nice work. Rightio, that was very good, Kaz. Some amazing experiences there. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you through, I guess, what this business has provided us. I've got a question for you all. What's your dream?
What is this? The Downline, the Swindle podcast. Has anyone watched that before or listened to it?
That had thought for a second. There's no right or wrong answer. Have you got a dream and what is your dream? All right, because later on I'll take you through what we need to do so you can get your hands on $60,000 per annum or a couple $100,000 per annum plus some. But that's all irrelevant.
I'm going to teach you what you need to do to get $100,000 per annum. Like, it's so easy. All we have to do is just listen to Paul and we're just going to magically make $100,000. But then if you look at the amount of money made by anyone, by people in any MLM, you'll see the people making $100,000 is like 0.0001%. And then the people who are even just profiting a little bit is like 1 or 2%. And the rest of the people aren't making any money or they go into debt. So he's just offhandedly saying he can help us make that much money when he knows it's a lie. It's a lie. I love the way Australians nickname everyone. It makes me all warm and fuzzy. Yeah, Kaz, that's cute. Like her name's Karen, but he's calling her Kaz. I agree. It's really cute.
At this point in time, but very, very quickly, like that's the question I was asked 15 odd years ago. What's your dream? And you know what I said? I just need more money just to get that pressure of finances off my case and to get some time. I just want more time. Right? Who was thinking that when I asked that question? Hands up. Who was thinking less stress, more time, right? More money to pay. Who was thinking, geez, I'd love to get rid of some of my debt? Who was thinking that? Right? You know what? They are all necessities in life. We've all got them. We've all got debt. There's good debt and bad debt, but time. We all
What's good debt? Does anyone know what good debt means according to Paul?
want time. They're all necessities. They're great things. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. When I first saw this business by a guy, he sat down at our kitchen table. I was like Mr. and Mr. Average, pedaling really hard, living from week to week, living from month to month, living from year to year, right? And
that kind of statement's really relatable. I feel like a lot of people might get kind of like stuck in the monotony of day to day, right? Like you get up at the same time every day, you get your kids ready, you get your kids off to school, you go to work, you do the same thing before lunch and the same thing after lunch, you go home, get your kids, maybe take them to soccer, give them dinner, do homework, go to bed, and you just like keep doing that every day. And so I think that kind of statement's really relatable because I could see how parents might get stuck in like the rhythm of daily life and may need a change. And I could see how a parent might be drawn in based on that kind of statement alone. But that monotonous rhythm is also just life. Unfortunately, when you have human life that you have to take care of and who relies on you for survival, you have to do that stuff. And that's what evenings and weekends are for, right? Like that's when you can hang out with your kids and explore their hobbies together and do fun things. You don't need to join Amway just because you are like stuck in the monotony of work. Does that make sense?
He said to me, he goes, okay, Racker, it was around about May 1990, 17 years now, May 1995. We got registered May or June, did nothing for a little while, and he goes, you know what? He goes, okay, Racker, what? Now, so here's my question to you guys. Here we are, it's about the 4th of August, right? 2000.
Hi, Haw. Listening while I plant new roses. Guess I need Amway to get more. Yeah, you need Amway to get like $5 roses, right? Because we can't do anything we enjoy. We can't buy anything that brings us happiness without Amway, right? Thank you for joining, Haw. I really appreciate it. We have like 3 minutes left. We're kind of almost done.
2012. Who knows what they were doing Monday to Friday 12 months ago? Who can remember? Right, what you were doing Monday to Friday to earn your income 12 months ago, your financial situation, whether you're happy, who can picture themselves 12 months ago? Now here's another question. Who can picture themselves 2 years ago? What you were doing, your financial situation, were you happy? Were you living the life you wanted? Were you doing the things you wanted? Right? Who can remember 2 years ago? Who can remember 12 months ago? Righto. The question is, what's different today? Why is everybody laughing?
What's different today? So a year ago, these people were not in Amway. A year ago, they had more time for themselves and their families and their kids. A year ago, they're working. They were actually making money. A year ago, they were not in a pyramid scheme, so they were not having to contribute money to this scheme without making anything back. A year ago, they were better off financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, everything. So a year ago, they were much better off, sir. Much better.
I ask that question sometimes, people start crying. But you know what I'm getting at? What has changed in your life in the last couple of years? Doing what you're doing. Your profession may have changed, but if you're still trading hours to make dollars, you'll never, ever experience freedom. Freedom is when you can get out of bed when you want to and not have to report to anybody. Now,
we've talked about this a lot on this channel. Freedom can mean different things for different people. Let me know what it means for you. For him, it means getting out of bed whenever you want and not having to report to anyone. For some, it might mean doing a job you don't mind, where you're respected by your boss, where you make a good paycheck, and you can put aside money for retirement, for time with your kids. It could be that you have a really nice boss who lets you leave early to go to your kids' hockey practice, who lets you go pick your kids up at your school trip, because unlike what people in MLMs think, some bosses actually allow flexibility. Some bosses will let you go leave work at 2 to go hang out with your kid on their school trip. Not all bosses are terrible and want to hurt your life and want to keep you from your loved ones and your family. Some bosses actually care about you. What's my point? Oh, freedom can mean different things. Freedom is different for everybody. Freedom for me, I think, being financially stable, going to a job, a good job, coming home, being able to do this stuff, YouTube, being able to explore new hobbies, hang out with my husband, watch hockey, watch movies, do fun things on the weekend. That's freedom for me. What's freedom for you? I feel like I'm really blabbery today.
That's not right. And I'm not saying what you're doing is right or wrong. All of a sudden now we get back to that dream thing. Now, and most people, we're all conditioned and we think, gee, to get rid of some debt, I just want to be a bit happier, find a bit of time. But they're all warm, fuzzy necessities. Then all of a sudden, I was asked by another bloke, hey, mate.
So Liv Parent had a good comment. I raised 2 kids over several 9-to-5 jobs and never had any trouble getting time off. I can't talk. Getting time off for my kids' activities. Yeah, like I feel like in Amway, all MLMs, but I feel like it came from Amway. The 9-to-5 job is villainized because you are the slave to your boss. Dexter Yeager said the jackass of the boss, if you guys remember that. And so it's the assumption, it's the assertion that all bosses are just evil and will not let you do anything with your spouse, and you're going to miss out on all activities. You're never going to be able to go to a kid's soccer game. You're never going to be able to do anything unless you're in Amway or any MLM. Both of my parents were never in an MLM, but I always had at least one parent at every high school hockey game, even though they were at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and both parents were working. They work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I always had a parent at my hockey games. Always. They never missed one. And it wasn't always both parents, but there was always representation there.
Let's get serious. What stuff would you love to do that is way out there, that is just...
It's Dexter when he was a bit older.
So abstract, people would think you're absolutely stupid if you do stuff like that. You know what I'm getting at? Because I was shown the plan, I was pedaling really hard, and I registered for the sake of, I've checked it out, there was nothing to lose. Worst thing that's going to happen to us is to save some money, Karen, on our general shopping. Great. What if...
And they always say that, like, there's no risk. This is such a low risk thing, but for some people, $100 is a really risky investment, especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck. You can't always afford to just throw that kind of money around. You might need to put it on a credit card or borrow money, and that is really risky. You're also risking losing out on time with your children because you will never get that time back. And if you miss out on like their first steps or like their first trip, their first school trip, or their first day at daycare because you have to go off and show the plan, you can never get that back, unfortunately. And that's really, really sad. There's a lot of risk in Amway, a lot. Same raise 2 kids, not 1 kid event over 2 decades was missed. Freedom, walk my dog along the beach, bike ride, read, garden, fairly simple. That sounds fantastic, Gary. It's for everybody. Like, it's different for everybody, right? Not everyone, like, who was it? Liv Panic or Melissa said, not everyone wants to go off to Rio for the Olympics. Some people just want to walk their dog on the beach. That's a great point. Great comment, Gary.
If it might be, there was a bit of hope, right? So I signed up. Karen was going, I don't know how I'm going to fit it in. She mentioned it. I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I'm working part-time. How am I going to fit it? I don't see you now. How are we going to fit all this crazy stuff in? That was traditional thinking coming from a couple that were trading hours to make dollars and were living beyond their means. Poor. Who knows of people that quite often live beyond their means?
I do. Everyone in an MLM lives beyond their means, or they at least pretend to live beyond their means. They go up to conferences, they buy products they don't need, they spend all their time on Zoom calls, they quit their jobs before they're ready, and they live beyond their means. They buy products they can't afford to buy, and they go places they can't afford to go to. Everyone in an MLM does that. And it's not their fault. They're told to do that.
Most of us, quite often in this day and age, we're in a materialism world now, I grew up when there was 1 car and 1 TV. Now we left this morning and there was 5 cars in our driveway and 1, 2, 3, 4 TVs, 3 computers and about 36,000 mobile phones in our house. That's the way it seems, But what I'm getting at was The thing is this. If you can get emotional about something. Now, clearing debt is an...
Okay, I think that's all. We have to get emotional about something. So I'm sniffing so much. Like, it's not even cold out, but my nose is running so bad. If it keeps up like this, might not go to the office tomorrow because, like, we're not as freaked out about COVID here anymore, but there's still the thought that if you're sick, if you have any symptom that could be COVID, even if it's not, just like stay home, like don't come to work and just work at home. So I might do that. So that was a pretty long video, but I thought it was fun. So what did we learn? We learned that the only way that we can go get coffee with our daughter is if we're in Amway. We learned that, what else? Oh my God, is my brain completely fried? We learned that we have to be emotional about why we want to join this business. It can't just be warm fuzzies about, oh, I want to fix my debt. You have to get really, really emotional, which we know is the why. We know that just because you are reluctant and worried about Amway, it doesn't mean that you have just because you're reluctant about Amway, it doesn't mean that you should join. You should just join anyways, and you should join before you know what it's about, because we don't really need to know what it's about. We can learn that as we go. We can learn that as we go. Oh, and Charlie said, we can't go to the Olympics without Amway. We can't take our kid to a play without Amway. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie, for always jumping in with some learnings. I have a list in my head of what I want to say after to wrap up, and then I sometimes forget them. I sometimes forget them. So thank you. Good for you. You have 5 cars. Yeah, who cares? No one needs 5 cars unless you have like a bunch of adults living in like the same place who all need to get places. No one needs 5 cars. Allergies? Maybe. Because it's almost springtime? Maybe. Although it's like there's still snow on the ground. It's like -2 or something here. But maybe, Hall, maybe. Okay, that was cool. And so there's a part 2 of this on Band Live Exports channel, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm going to listen to it on Monday, and if there is stuff I can say about it, if I have some commentary, then I will do that, like part 2 of that on Tuesday at my normal time at 4:45 p.m. So if you're free and you're interested in joining for that, I'd love to have you. If I don't have any commentary for the second half, then I will just do something else on that instead. So that's all I have. Thanks, Melissa and Charlie and Mark and Gary and Johnny and Hall, of course, and anyone else who jumped in or who will watch later. I really appreciate it. I thought this was fun. The Amway videos are always really, really fun. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.